Hey, welcome back to the channel. We're here for another lovely Wednesday craft video. And yes, I think I'm finally figuring out where to place everything in the video. But if you cannot tell from the theme this week, since if you saw my Monday beach vlog, then you're definitely going to know what is in store. We are doing some cute little beach themed kind of memory necklaces is what we're going to call these. So we're making two. They're fairly simple. The first one is this one, which I'll probably be wearing more honestly, and then we've got this one that is more kind of a statement, kind of, I guess statement necklace it would be. But let's see here, let's see how they look. I haven't actually put one on yet, so we'll see how they look putting them on. And I like how I color coordinated the the necklaces there. So let's just go ahead and put this on for the remainder of the video. Okay, so there is how that one looks. And I like this one because it makes it look like the sand is still kind of wet in there. Plus you get that little peekaboo of color. So it's going to be really cute for the summertime, because I do wear a bit more like pastels during the summertime. But I will go ahead and cut to the video about how I made these. Like I said, they're both very simple. But before we get into that, if this is your first ever video, please consider hitting that subscribe button for me so you can be here for all of our random awesome content. If you're my current subscribers, this is kind of similar to some of the other necklaces I've done before, but I don't know, I'm using sand. So there's a little bit of resin involved and then a little bit of mess. And I'm sorry for the shaky, wobbly table. I am still in the process of rearranging my art room, so I'm limited on table space. So I'm using what I got. Hopefully we'll figure it out soon. But I will go ahead and cut to the video about how I made these. Okay everyone, so we're here for this Wednesday's craft video, and obviously it's going to be beach themed because that is what this whole week is about St. Augustine and what I did at the beach and what I brought back from the beach. You're going to need some epoxy resin and some of the little jars, or like the little vials that you use for necklaces. That's what we're actually going to be putting the sand in. And then you're also going to need two different types of necklaces. You can either use just a plain chain, but I had these leather cords, so that's what I'm going to be using in two different colors. Like I said, you're going to need your epoxy resin. We're only going to need this for one of the necklaces. You're also going to need some kind of glitter. I like this kind of aqua kind of glitter, so that's what I'm going to be using. You're also going to need some wire cutters and, some needle nose pliers. Best bet to have two sets of needle nose pliers. I only had one, so I dealt with what I had. You're also going to need some jump rings, which I didn't end up needing mine, but you could possibly use them. You're also going to need something to mix up your resin in, a seashell, which I got from Florida, of course. Then I needed a little eyelet for a bead, which you can see right there. It's just a plain little glass bead that I had. You're also going to need some spoons for this project. And one of the main things that you're going to need is sand. And I collected this while we were down in St. Augustine, Florida. So this is actual beach sand. Okay, so to get started with this project, obviously kind of clear off some room to make you some room to be able to work. And we're going to use the first little vial, and all I'm going to do is, this one is fairly simple and probably the most common. It's not that difficult, and if you only want to see this one, then by all means just watch this one. But just go ahead and open your sand. Okay, and then we're going to take one of our spoons and we're just going to spoon in some of that sand. And you don't want to fill it all the way up because we do want to put some of the glitter in there. So just kind of mix up your sand and make sure it's all nice and dry, and then you just want to spoon that sand in there. Okay, and then once you have your jar or your little container full with as much sand as you want, you're going to use that same spoon, and I like to use the end of my spoon because I just find it easier when I'm working with glitter. And you want to just kind of spoon in and pack in that glitter as well. So you just want to put that on top because it kind of gives it that little, that little magical beach effect. Okay, and then once you have all your glitter in there as much as you want to kind of shake it up and make sure it's all packed, and then we're going to replace our cork and actually put it on our necklace. So this is where your pliers are going to come in handy, because with me, I just had to open up the little jump ring on my necklace so I could slide the little, I'm not entirely sure what that's called, but to be able to slide the charm onto the necklace. So that's what I'm doing right now. Okay, and then once you get your jump ring all nice and closed back up, you are done with your first necklace, and you know, it looks kind of cute. It's very simple, and it does give you that magical kind of beach feel, and that's something else that you could do, like a little memory jar with the sand that you get from the beach. So for our next one, we're just going to kind of make some more room, and this one's going to be a bit more complicated. Okay, so for our second necklace, this is where you're going to need your little eyelet holder with your bead on it, and you're also going to need your seashell. So what we're going to do first is we're going to go ahead and prep our jar. So you want to take off your actual big hoop that you use to connect your charm to everything, because we're going to actually use the eyelet. We're going to use that to be able to hold our charm together. So just go ahead and, just go ahead and separate those two. Okay, and then once you have that done, you want to go ahead and put your little eye pin onto your cork where you still have the little hoop, and you want to go ahead and feed your bead back on there, and then we're going to feed our eye pin through the hole in our seashell. So that way you'll have something that looks kind of like what I'm showing you. Okay, and then once you get it positioned like how you want it, or as tight as you want it, you want to go ahead and just make a little loop at the top. So I like to fold my pin back and then cut off the excess that I don't think I'm going to need. It just kind of depends on how big you want your hole on top to be. I want mine to be kind of big, so I just did that a little wide. And then you're just going to use your needle nose pliers, or if you have a jewelry finding tool, then that would work better. But you're just going to twist that into a nice hoop. Okay, and then once you have your hoop the way you want it, you want to go ahead and use your connector piece that you're actually going to suspend your charm from. You want to go ahead and put that on there. At this point, you could use some more jump rings to connect the two pieces, but I chose not to because I just made the hoop big enough and it laid right whenever I did do it that way, so I didn't need to actually use extra jump rings. But you just want to close that up nice and secure, and then that's pretty much the gist of your charm. Okay, and now we are going to just go ahead, and while we're using our tools, before we get anything else in the way, we're going to go ahead and just remove the jump ring from the necklace, and we're just going to feed the chain through the actual little hoop that we're using to suspend our necklace from. Okay, and then once you get all that nice and taken care of, you want to just go ahead and set your necklace to the side, and this is where our resin is going to come in along with some more of our sand. So just go ahead and get your 2 cups or your 2 little containers that you're using to mix up your 2-part epoxy resin, and just go ahead and kind of measure that out. I can eyeball it, plus I use the bottom level, like the bottom little line on the bottom of my cup, to be able to measure out how much resin I was actually pouring. So just go ahead and do that. Okay, so you want to make sure that your resin is mixed up nice and good. I'm not so much worried about air bubbles because I'm going to let it set off to the side, and that normally lets the air bubbles kind of work out a little bit. And at this point, you could mix your sand into your resin, but I'm not going to do that just because I just didn't want to. But just go ahead and repeat your process of filling up your jar, and this one we're going to try and get it as full as possible. So you want to go ahead and just kind of pack that sand in there. Okay, and then once your sand is in there as much as you want it to, this is where your resin's going to come in handy. Now you could use like a little syringe or something. I'm just using the spoon and being very careful as much as possible, and you just want to you know, easily pour it in there. Now halfway through this project I realized I needed a toothpick, so that comes in handy as well. That way you can actually get the resin down in there. That's why I suggested that if you want to, you can go ahead and mix your sand into the resin and then just pour it in there. But I didn't do that, so I needed a toothpick to be able to actually mix my resin down in there. Okay, and once you get the resin and the sand all nice and mixed up, and it creates this nice kind of wet beach look for this, which is what I was going for. That's why I decided to use the resin, because it gives it more of a wet sand look to me. Plus it makes sure that if your thing does fall off, you don't have to worry about the sand coming out of it. So once you get that nice and taken care of, you want to go ahead and just reattach your cork to your necklace, and then that charm is nice and done. And that is it for both of these crafts. Okay, so I hope y'all enjoy that. Like I said, the first one, which is kind of like the sand, like fairy one, and it's really shiny. But that was the first one that we made, and this one's, like I said, it's very simple. Thankfully I packed it enough so it doesn't really move around in there. Plus the sand from St. Augustine is it's very light and fluffy, but it can be packed really tight too. So I love the way their sand is down there. But and then this one, I like this one. It's, like I said, it's a bit more of a statement, and I like using the resin in it because it kind of makes it look like it's got wet sand in there. So it's like you brought a little bit of the beach home with you, aside from just bringing the sand. But these were, you could probably use anything, but I like the idea of kind of having like a little memory attached to where you got the sand from, because I know we all bring seashells and sand and stuff home with us from the beach, especially me. I bring a lot of salt water and sand home with me because I use them for various different things and various projects, which I know one thing I'll probably do a video on here soon. So it's just, you know, keep an eye out for that. That way you'll understand what I mean by when I bring the salt water home. I'll have a bit more of an understanding on that one. But let me know down in the comments what you do with any of the little treasures that you get from the beach. I know I have another little project coming up where I'm probably going to be using some more of the stuff I got from the beach, so I might do a video on that as well. But anyways, that is it for this Wednesday craft video. I hope y'all found it easy to follow, and like I said, it gave you kind of two options of what you could do. And I'm really shiny. I just got home from work, so I'm really shiny. But yeah, this gives you a little bit of the options of what you can do with some of these seashells and the sand that you get from the beach. Or you could even do this with, if you had stuff from, if you went to the mountains, or you know, any little treasures, you can put them in these little bitty jars, and they look so cute, and it makes just, you know, like really simple necklaces that you can wear, and they have memories attached to them, and you know, people ask you questions about them. So there's that. But I just like doing little things like this just because it's simple and it's unique, and I'm the only one that has this. So I'm the only one that has this little piece of sand, so I like that kind of spiel there. But anyways, I will go ahead and say goodbye to everybody and see you on the next craft video. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.